apply to the secondary consciousness. There's no words that describe that, which means all we can do is make simulations, parallels, that seem to have pointing qualities. We say, well, Rigpa is like a relaxed state. Yeah, no, because relaxation has no meaning in Rigpa. Space. Yes, this space is very relaxed. What does that mean? This space, this empty space is relaxed. Is this space tense sometimes? And it's more relaxed after we've done some practice? Is this space allowing these chairs and everything to be here? I mean, is the space in an active mode of allowing objects to appear in it? Those are qualities of like organisms that allow and do things like that. So this type of conundrum starts to disappear when this self thought, this me thought, drops away and dissolves. Then there's no one there to accept, resist, relax. There's no one there to do any of that. So those options don't arise as possibilities. Just like to this space here, if we could somehow communicate to this space, you know, this space seems so relaxed. How do you manage this, you know, this space is just so relaxed all the time. I feel no tension here. How do you do that? How do you relax into your empty spaceness? How do you do that? The space, it doesn't relate to that. If we could talk to this space, it couldn't say, well, this is what I do. This is how you do it. It's its nature. But even relaxation doesn't even make sense. Space being relaxed, or space accepting, or space allowing. These are anthropomorphic projections that we're projecting upon empty space. We do the same to Rigpa. We're projecting these anthropomorphic attributes that are natural in our secondary consciousness. And that's why people have always in history anthropomorphically projected God as this being up there with a white beard, wise like Grandpa or Papa, and that he's all loving, all kind, but also has a wrathful side. These are all descriptions of Daddy. And so this great Daddy protector, which is a natural subconscious symbol of the authority figure that was established deeply in our experience as children, for example, becomes projected upon our idea of God. Now, for us in this conversation, we could say Rigpa is like our God, this something special that we're trying to get in tune with, but we're projecting human attributes into it. It's accepting, it's allowing, it's forgiving, it's being present, as though the space is being present. It's just present as it is. So that's where we run into these things. We're trying to use a conceptual language to describe something that none of these things apply to it. None of them at all. But it's perfectly normal with our intellects, that's the problem, to frame it in an intellectual, philosophical foundation that sort of makes it all neat, categorized, and organized. Oh, it's like this, it's like this, it's like this, and this is how it is, and so forth. But we discover in practice, when Rigpa really arises and experiences the emptiness, of its own awareness, and of its attributes, all of that just disappears, and it seems completely irrelevant, which it is. It's just empty thoughts. It's all empty thoughts arising in that space. Does that help at all? Yeah. I mean, it doesn't solve it, but what solves it is the Rigpa presence arising itself. That is the explanation, because the knowing wisdom within that sees it like that. It sees that there is no these concepts don't apply.
Right.
It's like you're speaking Chinese to a person that speaks Russian, and you keep talking Chinese to the person, and the person speaks no Chinese, and it's the languages are not matching or meeting at all. So we get out of, the mind gets out of this fixation of always framing things according to its own nature.
You can't get here from here.
That's right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Does that make sense?
The part that reminds you that you're wandering, or whatever it is that part of the secondary consciousness or the primordial consciousness? Number one. The second question is there a way to expedite the burning process?
The what process?
The process of burning, releasing the thoughts. Is there a methodology to expedite the process of releasing the suppressed thoughts, emotions, feelings? Is there a technique?
Well, what we just did is the method.
Okay.
You can there's things to push it, but particularly initially, we're working with the secondary consciousness. It's not like we're saying, okay, we're in Rigpa, so there's nothing we have to do, blah 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 blah, and we just say, great, guys can go home now. You recognize that there's nothing you have to do, there's nothing you can do. It's two different languages, they don't talk to each other, and you understand that you're the context in which all of this is arising and releasing, and all of the content that occurs in your mind, all of your issues, all of your stuff is empty and self-releasing. So that's it, the retreat's over, we're good.
Good to go.
That's all intellectually understood. But to actually bring this into a condition to where Rigpa isn't a state that's occurring to you, the you dissolves and only Rigpa is left. So there's not you going in and out of Rigpa, there's Rigpa with a you appearing or disappearing. There is no you. It's empty. Because it's just a mental construction from your childhood, your self-image. Because before you were two, you didn't have any self-image. And then it started to develop. And what developed? Thoughts about me. Definitions about me. Are any of those things written in stone? Are they? No. What are they written in?
The air.
In your thoughts.
Yeah.
Your memory, your thoughts. So all of that, since we've looked at thoughts, those are empty. That's all empty. So now we're going to get into, we'll take a little break, and now we're going to get into the empty nature of this self, this observer, the one that's looking for Rigpa, the one that's looking for freedom from suffering, the nature of this observer even, the witness. When we're doing the practice of just witnessing everything arising and releasing, that's all secondary consciousness. All we're doing is reducing the contraction and disidentifying within the secondary consciousness, where aspects of the secondary consciousness, the ego consciousness aspect process, is identifying itself with all of these scenarios as a process. It's not that there's an ego entity, there's a process of thoughts. But we'll get into all of that after our break. So let's take about 10 minutes, and then we'll go right into the emptiness of the self.
Cool. There's coconuts that they took down off the trees, and there's coconut and the bridge that's already poured. So if anyone wants to try
You
some,
were holding the finger.